ask so that you can be enlightened, so that you or two you will not be victims of all those sentiments. 1 million people died, and people are living in churches now. And you ask yourself, how big is Makoko itself? That people are now saying all of these things that they are saying. And they are talking as if Makoko is a no man's land. If the government is saying that people should be saved from themselves, you are building shacks close to Third Mainland Bridge, under high tension wire, and the government is saying, no, this cannot continue. It's a question of safety, it's a question of security, it's a question of well-being of all our people, among whom Makoko residents number. So if the government is saying all of this, but people are going all about spreading unfounded rumors, banding incredible figures about what has happened in Makoko, we feel the government should not just keep quiet. Whether you want to believe it or not, you should also tell our own story. So on that note, I want to hand over the microphone to Dr. LASG so that he can say everything that he needs to know, to say, and what he thinks that you need to know about Makoko. Like I said, do not hold anything back. Try to ask questions, because we are relying on you for the world to hear our voice as a government. Thank you so much.
And the gentlemen of the press know exactly what is going on in our environment. Also, I'd like to thank the Special Advisor on Media and Communications to the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Gbenga Koshile. Thank you very much for hosting us in this beautiful facility. The General Manager, the Lagos State Urban Renewal Agency, representative of the General Manager, Lagos State Building Control, directors from the Office of Urban Development, having us today, just to brief the press. So it's another day in Lagos, where we are giving accounts. Because every time I sit here, it is because I've been invited into this facility by the Honorable Commissioner for Information and the Special Advisor, Media and Communication, to brief you on the things that we are doing. In 2025, we were here for a press briefing around media. Also in 2024, we were here. In 2023, the government had just started, so during this particular administration, the first media briefing would have been 2024 and then 2025. If we go back to those documents, which we also have, you will see that we have been carrying out regeneration projects in Lagos, since we started the administration. And I must tell you that when I mean the administration from 2019, when I had not joined, up until 2023, we continued from 2023 to date. We have been carrying out regeneration projects, and I will make available copies of those press briefings which we printed. Do you understand? I'll make available the one for 2020, 2024, and also the one for 2025. Having said that, I know that you want to hear about Makoko. Makoko seems to be a growing concern. Makoko is a fishing community in Lagos. It is made up of the land part and also the water part. I think there's more focus on the water part. However, just permit me to just give you my line of thought. Early last year, one of the things that we accomplished was the relocation of the sawmillers who are actually in Okobaba. We moved them without any noise. We moved them to Agmoa. That land, measuring, about 30 to 35 hectares of land, we had to provide, as of today, 300 houses. Somebody asked me, do we have low-cost housing in Lagos? And my answer to that is we have zero-cost housing in Lagos. Governor Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu against all odds, gave out 300 houses to the people that were relocated from Okobaba to Agbowa, Timberville. Not only that, billions of equipment, billions of naira, equipment worth billions of naira were actually provided in the operational area. That's a project that has been coming on since 1999, and that was accomplished under this administration, to the surprise of so many. If this government will provide houses just to relocate people into more conducive environment, you needed to have looked at the living conditions of those people. And every year, every 3 months, 4 months, we have a fire outbreak in that place. A responsible government will ensure that government action goes into that area. So Okobaba has now been successfully relocated. The people there have been resettled. We have also given them equipment that they did not have before. International standard equipment where we can actually provide timber. There is a processed timber, processed sawdust to the rest of the world. I know we have gone there with some of you who are, who have been in Lagos, covering Lagos State for a while, but I think, it's high time we go back to Timberville. It's called Timberville, Agbowa. And that's the same place that we're having the permanent orientation camp for the National Youth Service Corps. So it's a prime area. It's not an area where, we just threw them there. No, there's so many things happening in Agbowa. As I speak to you, LG wants to have a new free trade zone, to continue manufacturing ACs, televisions in Agbowa. And these are part of the things that we're doing in the Office of Urban Development that I would want you to know. Also, we relocated, we compensated the people of Ipelewura. Pelewura and Pelewura Onirin, there used to be Lagos is a market economy. Do you understand? So we are very much interested in the well-being and welfare of our market. As I speak to you, this government is working on 21 markets. I said this at the press briefing in 2024, and I also said it in 2025, and I can actually list those markets. But just in the Lagos Island area alone, we have Pelewura, we have Pelewura Onirin, we have Maboreje, we have Jankara, we have Bombata. All of these settlements are being built simultaneously, and you can go and check. People were moved away from there, people were compensated, and there was no noise, simply because we did it right. Mr. Governor sent me a video, and I know he sent it to some other ESCO members. When Qatar Bridge was being constructed, he wanted us to learn, the experiences that come from, relocating people. And then I was able to learn, because I did not know that before myself, that people were moved to Surulere. They call it Ologo. You understand? These were things that actually interest us. And, it was done seamlessly by this same Lagos State government. And we are to learn from the experiences of the past. Alabarago, it's an Hausa community. It will interest you to note that we are building, I think Bakinson is there, we're building more than 3,000 market stores in Alabarago. And Mr. Governor, when he had a meeting with the people of Alabarago, what he said is that I do not want to take your land. Original inhabitants of Alabarago. If you look at the Nation newspaper, sometimes late last year, I think in November, I can make copies of the newspaper available to you. You will see that the first set of houses that were shops that were allocated to the Hausa people. Latif Jakonde block, A, B, C, on 3 levels, with 20 shops on each level, allocated to the Hausa community. Raji Fashola block, the same thing. And also Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu block, the same thing. As I speak to you, we're building another 24 blocks because each block has 60 shops. All of these things are being done in Alabarago. I am not saying that sometimes we will not have issues amongst ourselves, but those issues be resolved in a very formal manner. Adeneji Adele, we've been, for very long, a lot of us, have families in Adeneji Adele. Do you understand? You will see that Adeniji Adele also has the same problem, which I'm going to come to very soon when I get to Makoko proper. Adeniji Adele, we have not removed anybody from Adeniji Adele, but as I speak to you today, we have actually committed about R1 billion trying to do 5 blocks with 110 units of houses for the people in Adeniji Adele phase 1. We have demolished the buildings that were dilapidated in Adeniji Adele phase 1 and relocated those people into safe houses. And the government, since the time of Governor Babatunde Raji Fashola, we have been paying rent, and we continue to pay rent for them where they are, while we are trying to now build the cable car somewhere very close to Adeniji Adele, so that we can take those people who are currently in rented accommodation and the rest of them, you are something that are still in buildings that are dilapidated, and bring them into proper houses. Maboreje is also another settlement that we're developing with Willows Project, the developer. They are to move the rest of the people in Adeniji Adele too. We have had these discussions with them. Do you have something? We will not change government's plan, but however, make sure that we see our plans through, because these are plans that come out of a negotiation with people. It is top down and not, it is bottom up and not top down approach that we are using. Katangwa, even before I joined, even before this administration, during the time of Governor Ambode, Katangwa has already been designated as the place to move the computer village to. We've gone out, we've gone to Katangwa, we've gone to computer village. I mean, which that area is causing a lot of traffic in that place, and we need to start looking at re-engineering some of our transportation routes. Do you understand? And the only way we can do it is not to displace people, but is to resettle people in proper settlements where international businessmen will come and meet us in conducive environments, with hotels, with schools, with creche, with proper stores, with bank. This is being planned for Katangwa, and this is another project that we're doing. You know, Ilasoja Konde, I'm sure you are aware that every single sector that we have demolished, there are five clusters. The first 2 clusters, we compensated everybody. There is nowhere where we removed anybody without compensating them or having a plan. Dosumu, I just left the office to meet the Commissioner for Information. We're having a meeting on 48, 49, 50, and 51 Taiwo Street. You know, those are the properties that are just next to Mandela's building that got burnt last year. Now, sometimes at the end of, that got burnt 2 years ago, sometimes at the end of last year, you understand, 48, 49, 50, and 51 also got burnt. So what we're trying to do is to follow our guidelines, which is our building code that we're about to launch, where you cannot be having small plots of 250 or plot of 400, and we're talking of a minimum plot size of 1,400. You know, so as properties give way to new development, in our regeneration plan, from our building code, you know, the only thing we can do now is to do land pooling and ensuring that these buildings have proper setbacks. Do you understand? They have, you know, provisions for fire exits and a couple of other things that are very, very important. So I just met with the families. Do you understand? I met with the Leo Abisogu family, the Piton family, the Bakari family, and the George family. The 4 families have now signed the document to come together, you know, to build one structure as against having 4 that it was before. Because, you see, when Mandela's fire happened, we had different problems. Number 1, we had physical obstacles, and then we had human obstacles. Physical obstacles in the sense that the fire trucks could not even go through because people have already built on the road. So the first thing we needed to do was to remove the physical obstacles. After removing the physical obstacles, we now had to deal with the human obstacles, because there were now people who were trading on the road, and we needed to get them out before the fire truck could reach there. And when the fire truck reached there, then we also now had, you know, building obstacles. A building was now on the setback, and the fire truck could not drive through. So before we could even think of demolishing that small building, which was an afterthought, the entire Mandela's building was burnt. But we were able to put that fire under control. Notwithstanding, you understand that the building is still there. We're thinking of what to do. We're supposed to bring it down. But you know, the technology to bring down a building like that, you know, that can be expensive. And the Lagos State needs to bear that. The GNI building, you know, none of us could go for Christmas. Even as I speak to you today, the building is still burning. The building has been burning now for 3 months. So every single day, a fire truck is there trying to put out the engine. I've been trying to put out the fire. But when you look at it, what was the problem of that building? A building that used to be an office block now became a parking store, as they call it. So they now had highly inflammable materials stored in the building. So trying to put that fire under control became a very serious problem. And you can see what has happened now. We have had to do a 50-meter radius. Let people from the dangers that can come from that building. So we have done that. And I was still there over the weekend. You understand? And some people were trying to see whether we could reduce the thing, but the building is still burning. You understand? And we need to put control in place to make sure that we safeguard our people. It brings me to Dosumu. You understand? Because I had to use the Dosumu example to explain to the people of Taiwo Street. And I told them, you should expect this land pooling, which they have agreed to. 16 buildings burnt in Dosumu, 16 different families. One building caused the fire because somebody had a generator on one of the upper floors. And when the generator started burning, instead of him to find a way of using fire extinguisher, which they did not have, he threw the generator down and threw all the kegs of petrol down. And that was what burnt 16 buildings. So Mr. Governor has now approved. Do you understand? There were 3 recommendations from the committee. Number 1, we develop it with the owners, the property owners. Number 2, we develop it with developers. And number 3, Lagos State takes over the building, the area and develop. But Mr. Governor, in his wisdom and the kindness of his heart as a governor, the law says we should take over everything. But he did not do that. He decided to develop it with the property owners. So what we have now done, we have pulled what used to be 16 to about 7 to 9 properties that will now be developed in Dosumu. And yet the government paid over R1 billion compensating people in that area. We need to try as much as possible to save people from themselves, because that is the reason why this government has been voted into power. Having said that, regeneration, is a term in development. Whether you call it conservation, preservation, renovation, regeneration, redevelopment, all of those things are terminologies in urban renewal. And that's why we have the general manager, urban renewal. It is not to say that those of us that are here are the people who are responsible, for everything that goes on in Lagos that people think are negative. These things are not negative. This is what we have to do. So we need to do what we have to do. If we do not do them, then we are endangering the lives of the people that we signed and swore and oath to protect. As a result of that, you have something, areas are being classified action areas. This governor has actually not classified any area as an action area. This has been done during the time of Ashiwaju, during the time of PRF, during the time of Governor Ambode. But you see, we cannot continue to just designate areas, do you understand, as slum areas or blighted areas when we have not even tackled the ones that we have on ground. There is no need to be trying to go to other areas. So we are only still dealing with the things that we found in the books. However, we need to do it, and I've explained all of these things to you. These are things that we have to do in a systematic way. We have to do it according to international conventions. What we all signed to at the Rio de Janeiro conference in 1992 in Brazil is that everybody is entitled to adequate shelter. Adequate. Not shelters that are dangerous. Now, so what do we have? In Makoko, sanitation is already at its lowest ebb. Some people will go on the TV and say that Lagos is smelling. Liquid and solid waste, where does it go? It goes into the water, and then it destroys the fishes. We call it a fishing community. And then access. Basic infrastructure. Social amenities. All of those things are missing. So these things have been tackled before, and we had a floating school. Proof of concept, and the floating school sunk. In 2021, when I joined the government, before I came, already Amina Mohammed had already visited. That is the UN Undersecretary, the next person to the Secretary General of the United Nations. So it is not an area that we are joking with at all. It's an area that we want to ensure that we do the needful and improve their living standards. So the United Nations had gone there and promised that they were going to support the Lagos State government. We have been having meetings up until when we had a presentation in ESCO. Do you understand? And Mr. Governor set up a committee made up of the Commissioner for Waterfront, the Special Advisor Tourism, the Commissioner for Waterfront at that time, Kabiru, who is no longer with us, the SA Tourism, Honorable Bonu Solomon, who is now at the Lagos State House of Assembly, the Special Advisor on PPP, Okwe George, who is now the Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, the Commissioner for Physical Planning, Commissioner Idris Alako, who is no longer with us, and then myself, the SA, EGIS, and Planning Matters, as I was called at that time. I'm the only one that has remained in my position, and we have followed the faith. I've followed up with Mr. Governor. We've continued to have meetings with the United Nations, and one of the things that came out of our several meetings in Cairo, in Washington, in different places that we have had this meeting, was this is just on Makoko, was that, okay, it's going to be a counterpart funding arrangement. It's not just us bringing the money. So Mr. Governor committed $2 million for the redevelopment of Makoko fishing community. $2 million. And we were expecting $8 million counterpart funding from the United Nations. But I'm sure we all know what is happening today. The funds are no longer available to most of those donor agencies and multilateral organizations. And what we need to do is to look inwards, and this is where, the Lagos State government, together with our international partners, are calling on different, donor agencies, the international community, various business organizations within and outside Nigeria to support us. Somebody has already written a letter saying, oh, they want to build a school. Do you understand? For Makoko? It's unfortunate I didn't bring that letter, but maybe before the end of this, I would want to show you the letter. I actually have the letter on my phone. So I would want to show you so that you can see that people are actually supporting this cause. When Okobaba was being relocated to Timberville at Noah, I remember that the permanent secretary, at the time with the team, wanted to work on, the power line. We talked to Mr. Governor, and Mr. Governor said, no, these people, just leave them for now. Do a stakeholder meeting with them and tell them what to do. And tell them that me, Mr. Governor, I've sent you to them so that they know exactly what to do. So we had this meeting with them over 1 year ago, telling them exactly what to do. You need to move away from the high tension. You need to stop spreading. You need to do this, you need to do that. So like November last year, the Office of Urban Development with some of the people sitting here went again on the bridge. I'm correct, right? Just to look and see whether these people have complied. This government wants you to self-comply. We don't want to force you to do anything. You will not see the government go somewhere where they have not engaged the people. The people of Makoko have been properly engaged, not only by the government, by the United Nations consultant. Everybody has done everything that we're supposed to do. But you see, the painful part of it is that this high tension thing, for those who are following Lagos State, you know that this thing started from the side of Amikole and a couple of other places. So an high tension cable fell and people died. It's the reason why all over the state, a decision was taken that we needed to make sure that we clear the high tension corridor to ensure that the safety of life and property is paramount. So this is not only in Okobaba, and I'm sure if you ask my people in Labka, they will tell you all the other places. And I'm sure you're also aware. In fact, I'm aware that somewhere in Okyoto, some people have written a petition to me to say, after the high tension corridor was removed, somebody was trying to build houses back there. This is something that we all need to ensure that we all protect. We need to ensure that we pull people away from those places. So what you see or what you saw happen in Okobaba was just part of a larger plan to remove people from under detention. It was not just done in Makoko alone. It was done all over Lagos, and I'm sure that the media will bear me witness. Having said that, what is government's plan? Because I've seen people ask me, do we actually have a plan for these people? Yes, we had two plans. We had one plan that was a shoreline extension. Shoreline extension. And we're doing that project with FBT Cora. So I'm giving you the name. And that project, it was for us to sandfill from the middle of the somewhere around the middle of the 3rd mainland bridge and sandfill back into Makoko. The problem is that Julius Berger advising the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, or Federal Ministry of Works, the United Nations and some of our partners have said that that project is not environmentally friendly. Some people have written about it, some people have complained about it, some people have written petitions. So we decided that we are not going to go on with that plan. You see, we in development control, we build, so when you build houses, do you understand something? The physical planning permit authority will give you an approval, and development control will do the state certification. Do you understand something? So we do not have that entire technical expertise, to try to see if we can build on water, and then also be sure that that building, will stand the test of time. But this fish line extension, that any island must be connected by a bridge, so that there will be free flow of water. So we were left with the Water Cities project, and we committed $2 million to it. Because the Water Cities project is the only one that is environmentally friendly. So we decided with the people of Makoko, together with the consultant of the United Nations, which is Professor Kunle Adeyemi, and we continue to work on it. As a matter of fact, a lot of my colleagues, particularly Tampla Ajebe and former Commissioner Idrissa, they went to Cape Verde together with the former General Manager of LASG, to look at some of the water cities that we have around the world. At least they went to the one in Cape Verde. Somebody has mentioned the one in Venice. There are some in different places. So why can't we have it in Lagos? So the exact location of the Water Cities project is where the Makoko fishing community is. It has not been tampered with. If you see anything that has been taken out, it is only those areas that are within the high tension corridor. I was just reading something over the last 1 month. Do you understand? Where even setbacks to some roads as given to us by the Surveyor General of the Federation is 150 meters on both sides, 150 meters road corridor. Do you understand? So you can imagine if that one is 150 meters, the one on water, do you understand something, which is more dangerous? Do you understand something? Maybe up to 250. So we have 150 to 250 meters that we're just trying to stay clear, because we're not going to do a project near that. And go up rather than for us to be spreading and affecting, the projects. I know some people would want to talk about Oroshoki. Oroshoki is something that we have been working with the community for more than 10 years. A lot of those places that you move are houses that were hitherto, they were shacks, and then the people got bold and started building them as concrete houses. When they come forward, they have no papers. But we have a mandate, to ensure that the living conditions of every single person in Lagos is paramount to us. You will see it. I would say, when Governor Fashola was around, he would say, Ekoni Baje. People will say, Obajeti. The Governor Ambode will say, Tesiwaju Ekolo Jewalogun. Governor Sanwo-Olu will say, Igbega Ipinle Eko, Ajumose Gbogbo Wani. Prince Churchill is one who said, we do not know whether if we change, things will be good. But for things to be good, we have to change. Let me stop here. In this approach. So we're now in the process of enumeration. It's being done with a human face, But you see, if I see somebody on an electric pole, I'll first try to save the person. You understand? So the first thing to do is to save them. Do you understand? It's better to be sorry than to be late. So let us address those issues. Some people have already died. You understand? When things like that happen, people are not publicizing it as it should be. Because as a government, we're not there to tell you every bad thing that has happened because somebody has done wrong things. But people should talk about it. You understand? You understand? So we already have a task force. It's an international task force where we're dealing with the issue of this. The UN has been there. My staff have also been there with the UN. Am I correct? And I forgot to talk about Shegun Williams, who since he joined this government as Senior Special Assistant to the Governor of Lagos State on Urban Development, the only assignment he had is Okobaba Water Cities project. He has had only one assignment. Am I correct? It is now that we are trying to give him other assignments. So you can imagine when we put a whole SSA on just one project, it means that, you know, it's something that we're serious about. It means that it is something that we want to try. We do not want to leave this government. Government has said it, that we must make sure that we deal with the issue of Makoko before we leave. We don't want to leave it for another government. We want to make sure. And one of the things that, just to tell you, you know, because when we had a meeting with the UN, you know, the strategy of their consultant was for us to go and build another water cities community. And I told the consultant, I said, you know, when you find people in an area, they have both tangible and intangible heritage. Tangibility in terms of their building and the location that they are is tangible. Intangibility in the way they use space. Maybe they're even worshiping one God. Maybe there's something that you don't know. You understand? So when you now say you move them to another community, I said, no, we're not going to move them. We're going to have that project in situ on that place. And one of the things that we discuss amongst ourselves is that we need to quickly build a transit camp so that when we are doing, if we divide it into 4 segments, the first segment, we will move all of them out, build the water city, and then return them there and take another set and then build, you know, until we finish building that water city. And then we have agreed with the United Nations, do you understand, that we are going to have a mapping of exactly the extent of the water city, so that anybody that goes outside of that area, do you understand, we will publicize it properly. Do you understand, we will all agree in a stakeholder together with the UN agencies and say, and all of us will sign that this is the boundary. Anybody that goes outside of that boundary, gentlemen of the press, just know that that person, do you understand, is doing something that is wrong. It's a contravention, and that person probably wants the law to take its course. Thank you. I'll give you 2 Supreme Court judgments. One, we're talking about approval processes, and then another one talking about NIWA, you know. And then I would also look for the NIWA Act, because I want you to be enlightened as to what the function of NIWA is. You know, so because you've made a categorical statement, and you know the statement is based on the information you have. So I want to give you additional information. What is the work of NIWA? So NIWA is Federal Inland Waterways. The only thing that they do is that they maintain our waterways. I know that the Supreme Court judgment has listed a number of waterways and say everything belongs to the federal government, including this one. However, the only thing that NIWA can do is that NIWA can give you the right of way, do you understand, to a property. So there's one that we're dealing with on Admiralty, where the person has gone to do an extension. The Admiralty scheme is part of Lekki scheme, do you understand? So all those buildings are inside our cadastral. However, all those people who are going to do extension of their plots, they go to NIWA and collect some permission. Do you understand? But after collecting that permission from NIWA, they will need to come to Lagos State to regularize it so that it can be in our cadastral and so that they can build on it. Otherwise, they cannot build on it. And some of the things I tell them is that if you go and do that reclamation, it means that you will either have to access the thing by boat or by helicopter, because NIWA only gives you a right of way. However, NIWA does not give you a building permission. So those people who are on the waterways, who are living there, they need permission from Lagos State to have a structure, even if that building belongs to NIWA. That is one of the Supreme Court judgments that I want to give to you, so that we can all be enlightened. The second thing is that the citizens that you find there, NIWA is not responsible for environmental sanitation. They are not responsible for liquid sewage, solid sewage. They are not responsible for the lives of the over 20 million people that you find in Lagos. They are entrusted in the hands of Governor Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu and not NIWA. It is not in any way within their jurisdiction to determine where people live. Do you understand? The act and science of ordering the use of land is town planning. Town planning is under the Governor of Lagos State, under the Land Use Act. Thank you very much. So we don't have the capacity. Capacity in the sense that if you want to do building control, including state certification. We have 57 LCDAs. So for one LCDA, I think I need about 5 to 10 buses. You need policemen. You need demolition gang, and then you also need the officers. So imagine if in one LCDA, even if governor gives us one bus times 57 is already what? There's 57 buses. You have to buy fuel. You have to service the bus. You need to do so many things, carry out repairs. And then the number of people that is inside one bus is like 10, including driver. So if you multiply 10 by 57, that's already 570. That's already 570. Am I correct? The total staff strength of LAPCA, as at the last time I checked, was 400. It's about 400. And I'm saying that you need not one team in an LCDA. You need 10 teams in one LCDA for us to effectively manage the entire city. So what we have done under this administration is that governor and deputy governor came up with a project which is called Certified Accreditor Program, CAP, where we now have allied professionals now helping us something to do state certification and do monitoring so that we reduce our activities to enforcement. So if we have that one boss can actually go and do enforcement, because those people are not allowed to do sealing up and enforcement like demolition. So we are now allowing the citizens to do the work. Those who are professionals, so that we create work for our professionals. So when they do the work, it is them that will now call us. If you want to call it whistleblowing, call it whistleblowing, but it's not whistleblowing. This is technical work, because it's the cry of a little child. Help me to do it by myself. If you have the professional out there, including those of you that are here, some people can actually even approach the EGIS office. We can give you a phone. I wish I brought that phone. If you take a picture on that phone, that picture will automatically go to our platform. And on our cadastre, we'll be able to identify exactly where that building is and send people there instead of having people drive cars all around the city. So you see, it's not by accident that Governor Sanwo-Olu said the big guy, Eko, Ajumose, Bugwani. We all have to do this work together, including journalists and everybody. And if there is somebody that is doing something, as pressman, why don't you call him out? Why don't you put him inside the newspaper? Put him in the newspaper. Put their building on TV. Show what has happened there before. So that, and also tell us, let us know that this is going on. Because like I told you, I've seen a petition, and my plan, it's just like what Jesus Christ said, let the wheat and the crops grow together, so that on the day of the harvest, we will separate them. We will separate those buildings from the land. I can assure you. So the land will stay, we will separate the building. So let the person continue to build. That building will not stand. I can tell you. Thank you very much.
So the last information. Thank you very much.